Greetings, Love Posse. Today's conversation: can unconscious white-bodied women be trusted when their survival depends on the success of the patriarchy? Let me begin by saying this is not an attack of white-bodied women. This is a legitimate question. This is a personal and spiritual growth channel and a skill and spiritual principle that we are focusing on in this message is discernment. Discernment. So, let me also say, I'm a woman who loves women, and all of my female partners have been white-bodied women. So there. I have nothing but love for all sentient beings. But in terms of relating, I have nothing but love for white-bodied women, okay? Love all women, but my partners, all 6 of them, female partners, have been white-bodied women. So don't come at me with your unconscious BS that I am being racist. I can't be racist. Look up the definition. Okay, so back to the conversation. Can unconscious white-bodied women be trusted when their survival depends on the success of the patriarchy? Let me give you some stats. Okay, I got this from bankrate.com. I'll put the link in the description. You can read the article yourself. You can Google this. So, white-bodied women wanted equality with white-bodied men, right? And they had to bring us in. Black-bodied women, brown-bodied women, yellow-bodied women, red-bodied indigenous women. They had to bring us all in for this fight, their fight with white-bodied men. But we joined in. Think about it. There's never been a push by white-bodied women that I know of. If you know of it, correct me. Put it in the comments. I don't mind being corrected or enlightened. I don't take it personally. But in my lifetime, I have never seen a push, move by white-bodied women to create, to form, some kind of, or put forth some kind of legislation, argument, anything, energy towards equality with other women, equal pay with other women, right? It's always been, we need equality to white-bodied men. I've never heard anyone come up, get up there and say, black-bodied women, Hispanic, Latina women, indigenous women, they don't get paid what we get paid. Let's work on that. I say that by saying this, but I researched this, and this is quite interesting. So, white-bodied women earn approximately 80 cents for every dollar earned by white-bodied men. Okay? It's actually 79.6%. Now, this is the interesting thing. Asian women earn 94 cents or 94.2% for every dollar earned by white-bodied men. More than white-bodied women. Then black-bodied women earn 66.5% or 67 cents for every dollar earned by white-bodied men. And Hispanic Latina women, I'm adding Latina because the data says Hispanic women, and we've progressed beyond that cultural identifier of Hispanic. Some people still consider themselves Hispanic. Anyway, Hispanic women earn 57.8% or 58 cents for every dollar earned by white-bodied men. Okay? So this is not about Asian women, but Asian women and Caucasian white-bodied women benefit from patriarchy. But let's go back, and I don't see a push to elevate the pay equality amongst women by white-bodied women who led this pay equality movement because they wanted to be equal to white-bodied men. But I don't see a push by them, nor Asian women, but this is not about Asian women, to make the pay equal amongst the rest of us women. Okay, this is important because of what's going on in 3D. How can we, again, speak of unity and solidarity when there is no unity and solidarity amongst women? When we have a group, back to the topic here, we have a group, unconscious, white-bodied women whose survival depends on the success of the patriarchy. So they are complicit in the crimes, in the threats, in the disparaging, in the keeping down of other groups because they're tethered to the success of the patriarchy. They're tethered to 3D because in 3D, it's all about greed and power. That's what the collective is living in, right? These people are tethered to 3D. And part of 3D includes greed and power. And historically, for white-bodied men to maintain power and amass the wealth that they've been able to amass due to unconscious, due to their shadow, one of their shadow, greed, they've had to colonize, rape, murder, pillage, keep other groups down, and their women have had to be complicit in that. Okay, so let's this is getting juicy. So let's go more into this. White-bodied women, unconscious white-bodied women, and might I add, even those on a spiritual path. That doesn't matter, you know. Depends on people's needs. You see, My number one priority is my spiritual growth and development. For somebody else, it may be something else. Okay, so let's get back here. I want you to follow me. I want to be clear. Unconscious white-bodied women have had to uphold, support, encourage, defend, vote for laws and ordinances and propaganda, narratives that support the success of the patriarchy, because they are tethered to the success of the patriarchy. They are tethered to the patriarchy. And even some of their own women, brilliant woman, she's no longer with us, Dr. Greta Lerner, who was a white-bodied woman of the Jewish faith, wrote this fantastic book, The Creation of Patriarchy, 1986, copyright 1986. And on page 6 of the book, she poses this question. And I'm going to read it as it is in the book, because for me, I don't know, it still sounds a little off. But anyway, the question is, what could explain women's historical complicity? And when she writes women's historical complicity, women is referring to white-bodied women. I strongly feel that when she said this, she was not thinking about black-bodied women, brown-bodied women, Asian-bodied women, because I'll get into that. Why this doesn't apply, let me speak to women who look like me. This doesn't apply to black-bodied women. Anyway, what could explain women's historical complicity in upholding the patriarchal system that subordinated them, and in transmitting that system that subordinated them, and in transmitting that system generation after generation to their children of both sexes? So white-bodied women, most white-bodied women, have been transmitting this system of patriarchy generation after generation to their children of both sexes, girls and boys. That's why it's being upheld, right? Christian nationalists, MAGA group, it's being upheld by these unconscious white-bodied women who are tethered to the success of the patriarchy, white supremacy. And Dr. Greta Lerner was asking, why? Why would you uphold a system that subordinates you? I'll tell you why. Could be fear, but also there's a benefit. Could be fear, probably fear, but there's a benefit. Not only that, white-bodied women have been imprinted, and they still carry within their cellular memory this notion, I can't think of a better descriptor, that notion that, or belief, that in order to be safe, in order for their children to be safe, they have to be tied to white-bodied men, to the patriarchy, to white supremacy. So when my ancestors were kidnapped and forced here in this country, they were considered property along with animals, cattle, cows, chickens, pigs. But people don't talk about this. White-bodied women and their children were also considered chattel, property of the slave owner, of the master, of the colonizer. White-bodied women still today are considered chattel, property, not only in their own minds, their own unconscious mind, and it's even conscious. We have a group of people, white nationalists, white Christian nationalists, these MAGA people. This is one of their principles, beliefs, that their women are property. And you can see it played out, right? It's played out. You can see it. It's out there. They talk about it. They have to be submissive. They want them to have all these babies. They're supposed to be at home. The men are supposed to lead. They fall behind. Their property. The women belong to them. And then you have these unconscious white-bodied women who are in places of power, right? Government, lawyers, doctors, teachers, in the church, on and on and on, who uphold, support, encourage, defend, vote for. 53% of white women voted for Trump. So my question is, can these women be trusted? Knowing that in their psyche, they carry this energy of victimization, this energy of not enough, I have to be taken care of, I am property of him, my survival, my life, my kids' survival in life depends on the success of this corrupt system. And even though it is corrupt, and they may or may not want to acknowledge it, or even believe it's corrupt, but they are complicit in the corruption, in the holding down of everyone else. They don't even vote for policies and people that benefit them. They vote against their own interests because their need for survival is greater. They vote against their own interests. They vote against the interests of all of us because their need for survival is greater. So when someone has a need to survive and their survival is tethered to this sickness over here, this unconsciousness over here, this mayhem and chaos. The legitimate question is, can they be trusted? We can still love them and ask the question. That's personal and spiritual growth, to be able to discern if someone can be trusted, if this is truth and this is error or false. So when the Emancipation Proclamation happened, physically, black-bodied people, black-bodied women in that group were freed. But white-bodied women have not been freed. Physically, mentally, psychologically, or spiritually. Think about it. They're still considered property of their grandfathers, their fathers, their husbands, their brothers, their sons. They are still considered property, held in bondage, not free. So Greta Lerner saying, how can you uphold a system of patriarchy that subordinates you and then teach your children, teach your sons to uphold it, right? Be a part of white supremacy, son. Be a part of the patriarchy that does all these corrupt things to not only your sister and your mama and your grandmother and your aunts, but to other people, because we must survive. And you tell your little girl, be submissive. Don't be who you are. Be pleasing, demure. Be a victim. Stand back. Don't say anything. Let your man, your brothers, your fathers, let these men, a lot of them mediocre, let them lead. Support all of this bullshit so you can be safe and your kids can be safe. On the other hand, their contemporaries, black-bodied women, when black-bodied people were freed from enslavement, black-bodied women were less threatening to black-bodied men. Black-bodied men couldn't get work. Then in comes this system of incarceration because the white psyche he's a threat more than the women. So we have to lock them up. The men, keep them from our women. They are a threat to the patriarchy, to our families, to our women, to our children. So the black-bodied woman had to step up. So the black community and culture is more matriarchal rather than patriarchal. So the women had to step up and take care of their community, their families, both their men and their children and their elderly, and then white-bodied people's children and elderly and men. So white-bodied women and black-bodied women have a different energetic imprint. right? Different experiences of being property of the master, white-bodied men, while white-bodied women are still property. It's still, as I said, they're still property physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? Economically, still property. Black-bodied women had to be successful, had to come out, get jobs, maintain the family. Different energy. Not only did black-bodied women take care of their families, they took care of white-bodied families. They, generally speaking, black-bodied women broke that mental, psychological imprint of being property. They had to. They had to. So you have white-bodied women over here, still tethered to the success of the patriarchy, still considered property, still voting against their own interest. Did you know, I looked this up, when white-bodied women, when the suffragette movement happened, and again, black-bodied women were there, indigenous women were there, trying to help, and what happened? What happened? Black-bodied women were betrayed by white-bodied women, but that's not what I wanted to say. There was a group started by a white-bodied woman. And men, white-bodied men joined, but it was started by a white-bodied woman to put down, destroy the suffragette movement, a movement to empower white-bodied women. So you've always had these white-bodied women so tethered to, tied to, dependent on the success of the patriarchy that they will go against their own interests and go against the best interests of everyone else. So, can they be trusted? I take people on a case-by-case basis, but I will tell you, I'm so sensitive, I can sense, I can see, and I can sense when people in general are not to be trusted. But I can always see in white-bodied women and feel, that's the most important thing. I feel in my gut, I get like a punch in my gut, not to be trusted. They are not to be trusted. No. So, again, when you have unconscious white-bodied women whose survival is dependent on the success of the patriarchy, can they be trusted? Well, that's for you. We each have our own individual answer to this. I can only speak for myself. I'm just throwing this out there to you because all the shit that's going on in the 3D, and they're tied to the 3D because that's where the patriarchy, has its hold, right? Even though you see all these illusions are falling apart, the patriarchy's falling apart, the systems of the patriarchy is falling apart, the notions and ideology of white supremacy is falling apart. And so this is an important question, because in order, one of our, or three of our, all of us, our spirit lessons, love, compassion, kindness, that's what we all must learn. And so this is a lesson. Love, compassion, and kindness. They don't have love for themselves. They don't think they're enough. Obviously, they don't think they're enough because they're dependent on the success of the patriarchy. They don't think we're enough because they don't think they're enough. And this competition, the patriarchy putting us against each other, and all this bullshit about, who's dating whom, and stick to your own, blah, blah, blah. What do you mean? We're all spiritual human beings. We are each other's own. We're one family. So you have to be wise. Can they be trusted? I've been even thinking about my former partners, and my mother telling me that the women that I dated that had children, and I said, oh, I'll help you rear your children. We can be a family. And they said, no, the two of them, no. Or the one, no. She was definitely tethered to the success of the patriarchy. But my mother told me, Tyffany, those women are never going to give up their husbands for you. My mother also told me this, and I'm sharing this with you. My mother, all my life, she still says it. Tyffany, God doesn't ask you to be a fool. We can be loving, we can be kind, we can be compassionate, and we can ask questions. Like the one I'm asking today of you in this conversation, because that is love, that is kind, that is compassionate, that's spirituality. Okay? That's personal growth. Okay? Don't be a fool. I love all sentient beings, but if I'm out hiking and I see a javelina and they are so cute, especially the little babies, I'm not going to be like, hey, javelina, I'm life like you. I'm an expression of the divine like you. And go up there and try to pet it. No. Discernment. I can love the javelina, appreciate the javelina, see the javelina's beauty, but also be wise and aware and conscious enough to know that javelina has some damn horn. That javelina will rip me to shreds. Okay? So, discernment. So, white-bodied women who are watching this, it's time to heal, because this shit, this chaos, right? That's this dismantling, destruction of the illusions of 3D, of the patriarchy and the patriarchal systems. It is happening, and it's going to happen, and it's going to continue until you evolve, until more people evolve. The universe is giving all of us an opportunity. You have to choose. Okay? This is an opportunity to heal, to do the inner work, to see these, to free yourself from the bondage of the patriarchy, to free your mind from these beliefs, because our beliefs are our laws, that you are not enough, that you are not safe if you're not tethered to the patriarchy, to white supremacy. Because as you can see now, the universe is telling you, white-bodied women in the collective, that white-bodied men don't give a damn about you. And another benefit, white-bodied women are the #1 beneficiary of DEI. That's the patriarchy. White-bodied women, the #1 beneficiary of food assistance programs, SNAP. That's the patriarchy. Because black-bodied women, black people, were not allowed food assistance until, 1964. So it's always been, again, white-bodied women being taken care of by white-bodied men. So it's understandable if they believe, again, our beliefs are our laws, that their survival depends on the success of the patriarchy, and the patriarchy is taking care of them. Meanwhile, saying, these black welfare queens and these black people and these DEI programs are mediocre. And now we all know it's a lie, right? We all know it's a lie. So they have been taken care of. So I understand. But now it's all falling apart because the universe is saying, enough of these illusions. Evolve or die. Evolve or this nightmare will continue. So, white-bodied women, unconscious white-bodied women, I hope you choose love, compassion, and kindness. I hope you choose spirit, which is love, compassion, kindness, truth. I hope you choose to break free, because you're still chattel. You're still chattel in your own mind. You're still chattel in the minds of most of your men. You're still chattel in the eyes of the church. You're still chattel in the eyes of the Republican Party, white Christian nationalists, MAGA. I hope you find a way to heal. But in the meantime, we're all going to need each other. You can't be trusted. I just said it. That's how I feel. I feel you can't be trusted. You just can't be trusted. So, I don't know. Where do we go from here? Who out there can create forums and workshops or classes or platforms where we can have these conversations to heal what is supposed to be a bond between women? Because spiritually, the bond is still there because we're all one family. We're all expressions of the divine. But in 3D and that in the simulation, in the dream, don't you see what the lesson is in this earth school? We have to find our way back to each other. We have to remember, which means rejoin. And it begins with unconscious white-bodied women understanding that they have work to do, that they have been dependent on the success of the patriarchy, and they have passed this ideology of white supremacy to their kids. Stop it now, right? Stop it now, so that your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren are free. Greta Lerner's in the spirit world. Maybe she's back. I don't know. But let her know that you will no longer uphold a system that has subordinated you. You will no longer be chattel. That you understand that you have a bond with other women, that you now know you are enough, that you are a spiritual being and there's nothing to fear, that as soon as you take your first step, walk out of that, open the cage door, that's a step. Walk out of the cage, that's another step. Lift up your wings, that's a third step. Take a deep breath and fly. Fly. You're free. See? You're free. Then we can heal our relationship. And as women together, we can lead this country out of this nightmare. There's a lot of work to do. It's not easy. It's challenging. Transformation takes time, takes effort, but when it happens, it's quick. I know. Most people don't want to do it. So here we are. So, can unconscious white-bodied women be trusted when their survival depends on the success of the patriarchy? Okay, Love Posse, great conversation. We're having fun here. Thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you for joining our channel. Thank you to those who have been here with me, who are still here with me. Yay, we're having fun. So that's about it. A lot to think about, right? You know I love you. Peace and love to and for all sentient beings.